Arsenic is a poison, right? When you hear the word, you think of Renaissance-era inheritance plots and the death of Napoleon, but acute arsenic poisoning is a rare thing these days. Chronic arsenic exposure, on the other hand, is more common, more insidious, and harder to detect. Infants are at particular risk for environmental toxin exposure because of their lack of dietary heterogeneity. Under the age of 6 months, almost all infants in the United States are either receiving breast milk or formula. Now a study out of Dartmouth and the National Institutes of Health say that these formula-fed infants have higher arsenic exposure than their breastfed counterparts. The authors looked at 72 New Hampshire infants at around 6 weeks of age. 70% of them were exclusively breastfed. What they found was that the arsenic concentration in the urine of the formula-fed infants was significantly higher than in the breastfed infants. But let's look at the numbers. Curiously, the authors don't provide the median concentration of arsenic in the urine for these two groups. You actually have to do a bit of math to figure it out. But what I get is that the arsenic concentration in the breastfed group was 0.25 parts per billion compared to 1 part per billion in the formula-fed group. That sounds like a big difference, but realize that 1 part per billion is really, really small. The average arsenic intake in the United States is around 20 micrograms a day. So these babies would have to be peeing 20 liters a day to imply that they were getting that kind of exposure. I have 2 small kids at home, and I assure you they do not pee this much. So these kids are actually getting way, way less arsenic than older children and adults who eat food. And that makes sense because the primary source of arsenic in the diet comes from rice and fish. The FDA actually measures the arsenic concentration in a variety of foodstuffs every year. I looked at the most recent numbers, and the one to top that list was a fast food fish sandwich at 512 parts per billion, roughly 50 times higher than the allowable limit in drinking water. The FDA also measured the arsenic concentration in 34 different milk-based formula samples and found that arsenic was undetectable in all of them. So in the end, breastfeeding is still the best choice for your baby if you can do it. It's cheaper than formula and it provides passive immunity. But if you're really worried about avoiding arsenic, just avoid the fast food restaurant. For MedPage Today, I'm Perry Wilson.